Welcome to the Best Life Ever Team podcast. I am your host, Prince Raphael Shawan. Tweet is PRS for short, and this is not your ordinary podcast. Stop right where you are. Close your eyes if you can. And imagine what your life would be like if you let go everything that no longer adds to your happiness. You heard me. Imagine your life if you let go everything that no longer adds to your happiness. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Can you even imagine it? Letting go is one of the most valuable lessons we will ever learn in this life. Knowing when to let go, knowing what to let go, and knowing how to let go are all very important components to living a good life. I remember when I was a kid, the first time I was forced to learn to let go. I remember wanting to see my father, and my Aunt Diane decided she was going to take me to my grandmother's house to see my dad. So we just showed up unannounced. We're from Gary, Indiana, so that's not usually advised. So we pop up at my grandmother's house, and my aunt knocks on the door. My grandma comes to the door, opens it. She gives us a dirty look, looks down at me, looks at my aunt, and my aunt asks for my dad. My dad's name is Larry. She said, "Is Larry here?" My grandmother said, "No, but who's asking?" My aunt introduced herself and then introduced me as his son. My grandma, well known for the ice grill, looked me in my face and she said, "That is not my grandson. My son Larry only has one son. Don't come around here ever again talking like this. Leave us alone." And then she slammed the door. I felt devastated. At 5 years old, I felt like my heart was ripped out of my body. I remember looking up at my aunt, tears in my eyes, and I remember her telling me, "It's okay, baby. I love you. You are important. You are special. And your dad loves you too." No matter what she said, I can't forget that big golf ball that I had in my neck. Feeling like I was so excited to meet my dad, my grandma, see my family. And the way she handled that, I felt destroyed. And then, a bit of time passed. I started to see my dad. I was too young to know how that came about, but I was around 7 years old when I can remember one of the trips that we took. He took me to get shoes. He took me to the barbershop and we hung out with his friends. We had a good time. I remember thinking how cool my dad was and I loved his swagger. I wasn't even thinking about what happened when I was 5 years old. I was just happy to be there with him. So let that be a message to you fathers. Even if your kids don't see you, and no matter what people say about them, there's still a space in their heart for you. They still love you. They still want to know you. Sometimes kids meet their parents and they feel let down when they meet them because they're not what they imagine them to be in their minds. My dad, he was cool. I liked him a lot. But I noticed like one day all of a sudden there was no more contact. I couldn't see him. And when we talked about him, it wasn't really that nice or polite. Or when other people talked about him to me. So I was kind of being told to forget about it. My dad's moved on with his life and I'm not a part of it. It was tough. That was my second lesson in letting go. And it was difficult for me to even think of letting go. So even though I pretended to, I still held on to that piece of hope that one day I'll get to see my dad again and we'll have a great relationship. So The whole time I wanted to know where he was. I turned about 12 years old. Things were rough at home. My mom and my elder brother, Tilo, was getting into it a lot. Like I said, we live in Gary, Indiana, so it gets real around those parts. And so my mom told my brother, just because we're from Gary and now we live in Minnesota, it doesn't mean that he could just get away with whatever. So she wanted my brother to leave. My brother felt like my mom was being unfair. Listen, the way I see it, both of them were right because that's what they believe. But in the end, the moms win because it's her place. So she put my brother out, gave me an ultimatum, told me that I would never get to see him again if I stay with her. And if I do see him, I have to leave. She gave me an ultimatum. My brother was my best friend, besides my wife, still is. And he meant too much to me, and that's all I really knew for me to say, yeah, Mom, I'm gonna stay here and never see my brother. So I told my mom, it's been real, I appreciate her. And I got my stuff, called my brother, I moved. My brother's 15 years old, I'm 12, we live in St. Paul, Minnesota. He did everything to make sure we were straight. Now, when we lived in Gary as little kids, our entire family was based in church, so we knew all about church. But we also had a street side to our family, so we knew how to survive as well. So my brother's job was to supply, provide, bring in the money, make sure we have a roof over our head. My job was make sure everything was clean, make sure we had food, make sure we had the right juice, whatever it was that, went with the meal. But the house was my area of what I needed to handle, and he took care of the rest. We're a team, we're still a team. So I turned around 13 and I started wanting to find my dad again. I look everywhere. Go to my Aunt Diane's again, Gary, Indiana. So now I moved back. Somehow, they noticed that I really want to see my dad. And then that's when my aunt's husband decided that he knows exactly where my dad is. My entire dad's side of the family, he knew them all. Called one number, was able to get my dad in contact with me in less than 2 or 3 days. I remember the first time I went to my dad's house to visit him. I walked into his home, nice spot, east side of Gary, Indiana. I walk in. Before he even said hi, give me a hug, handshake, anything, took me straight downstairs to his long back. Said, let me see if you can punch. First thing he wanted to see if I knew how to fight. I had a lot of pent-up aggression. And remember, from the ages of 12 to 13, I'd already lived in the streets with my brother. So I started punching that bag, like that bag disrespected my life. Tried to beat a hole in that bag. I don't even think my dad knew at that moment it wasn't about me showing him that I knew how to fight. I was getting out a lot of aggression. Took a lot of ass whoopings when I was a kid. Felt like a lot of it was unnecessary, but I didn't understand at the time, parents do what they think they need to do for their kids. I turned out good, so obviously it worked, but I don't condone violence. Back to the story. So my dad, after I boxed in, he gives me a hug because he's proud, because I knew how to throw shots. And from there, we developed a relationship. Started going to school, lived with my dad for a little bit. My dad was pretty militant. He didn't really play around. I remember the first time he told me I needed to be home when the street lights came on. Now, mind you, I'd already lived with my brother about a year, close to a year and a half. as an adult. Went to bed whenever I wanted. I could come in whenever I wanted. Just had to go to school no matter what. I was living like an adult from the ages of 12 to like 13 and a half. And I moved with my dad, and it's like he treated me like I was about 10 or 11 years old. Come in when the lights come on. I felt like he should have gotten a chance to know me. He should have spent some more time with me to learn how I am instead of just trying to raise me by a default way of raising kids that he had set forth. So obviously that plan didn't really work out because I came in after the streetlights one day. I remember my dad said, go upstairs to his room. Now, in my dad's house, he didn't have any television or anything in the lower part of the home. Television was only in his room. So I had to listen to the radio. That's how I learned how to dance. I danced every day. WGCI in Chicago played on the radio. Whatever they played, I danced to it. Slow dance, house music, Saturdays. It was midnight love dancing. So I learned how to freaky dance, all that. Well, that's one way. That's another story for later. So anyways, my dad calls me upstairs. Go upstairs, takes out a paddle. A wooden paddle about this long, about that big. Has some holes in it. He told me to put my hands on the bed and face the wall. My dad's hit me with this paddle, hard as he can. Tells me I got 25 swats. Bam. I have no expression. Because at this point, I'm pissed off. I feel like he's disrespecting me because he didn't even learn my life or my story. I've been staying out. I've been responsible. I didn't feel like I needed to be beaten for something that I had already grown accustomed to. We just never discussed it. Bam. Hit me again. I'm up to 7. Still, I'm like Denzel and Glory at this point. Just taking the shots like, bam, 17, no expression. Bam, 22, I'm looking at him now. No tears, no expression. Bam, he still hit me. I'm just looking at him in his eyes because now I'm getting angry. And I'm thinking, bro, I love you and respect you so much, but I can't believe you're doing this to me because I felt like you don't even know me. That's how I felt. I felt like you don't have a right to hit me like this because you're hitting me for something that we didn't even discuss or that you never learned if I'm a typical 12-year-old or 13-year-old or not. And I mean, as a father, he had a right to handle it how he wanted, but I'm telling you what my mentality was. At 13, almost 14 years old, I felt like he should have talked to me. He should have got to know me. So we're well past 25. We're at like 30. Long story short, I ended up getting 50 swats, no expression, no tears. I know my butt swelled up like a balloon. I couldn't even sit down. And I felt more hurt and disrespected than the pain of the lashing. And so after that, I vowed that if my dad ever tried to do that again, I wouldn't allow it. Come to the end of the year, the end of the school year, situation took place. We go to myself, my little sister, and my little cousin go to the end of a year party. We're hanging out. Something happened, get into it with one of my boys. I end up leaving the party, walk back to my dad's house. Now, the walk back to my dad's house was about maybe like, easily maybe like 8 miles or something like that. Could be more, I don't know. But, so we're walking. Mind you, we get there, it's dark. Everything's dark again. You know what that means. As soon as I walk in the house, cursed out my little cousin, told him his mom's on the way to get him. He's in trouble. Told me to go downstairs because he's about to meet me with the ass whooping box. Now, I made it up in my mind this will never happen again. Goes upstairs, come back down, look me in my face and goes, "You still up here? I told you to go downstairs." I told my little sister that day. if dad tries to hit me again, I gotta do what I gotta do. My dad didn't know what I had been through. He didn't know how I lived when I was in the streets. I was into a lot when I was in the street. Got into a lot of confrontations. Didn't lose none of them. Won them all. At that point, I was potentially dangerous for my dad because how he was handling things. And if I turned that energy on him, it would have been bad for both of us. So he goes upstairs to get more whooping utensils. And I tell my sister, I love him too much. I gotta go. So I leave his house. Mind you, I leave. We're in Gary, Indiana. It's dangerous. I'm running through the streets. Perfect clear night. Going to my aunt's house because I know I'm safe there. I look up, boom. I see my dad. I'm hiding behind a bush. It starts raining like crazy. Mind you, I gotta run like 5 miles to my aunt. Get to my aunt. My aunt was on the phone with my dad. She was bluffing him, but I didn't know. I just heard the conversation. I'm thinking, oh man, now I gotta go to my grandmother's house where my sister Toy lived. Get down there. My sister Toy answers the door. I mean, I believe this was it started around 7. I didn't get to my grandmother's house till like 1:30 in the morning or something. That's about how far it was. At this point, I'm 14 years old. So my sister sneaks me into my grandmother's house, hides me on the other side of her in the bed. She was like, you gotta get up early before everybody wakes up because they can't know you're here. I was like, cool. So I fall asleep. She wakes me up like 5:30 a.m. Mind you, I just went to sleep. I was running all night. I jump up, go to my homeboy, to my cousin's house, Terry Brooks. Knock on his door, told him what happened. He was like, man, come in, I got you, don't even trip. This was the day the Bulls won their first championship in Chicago. We jump in his car. We're driving over to Chicago to go celebrate. While I'm in Chicago, my brother Tilo catches wind of what took place. He drove to Gary, Indiana to get me, picks me up, boom. Now, I'm living with my brother again after the Chicago celebration. I was out there in the 96, pardon me. I was out there in the 1990, was it 91? Yeah, it was the 91 celebration. I was there for Chicago Bulls. So anyways, my brother picked me up, moved back to Minnesota with him. At this point, like, we heavy in like gang activity and just living in the streets, going hard, and just, man, it was real. Different times. But this was before the group came together. Lived a real tough life. Few people that we knew and loved passed away. Another lesson in letting go. Then Tilo comes to me around 16 years old and said, hey, we need to do this group. I was like, cool. So actually I was like, nah. I was like, I didn't want to do the group, but I decided that I wanted to do the group after some thought. And I told him here till the end of summer for the group to pop. And if it does, I'll stay. And if not, I'm going to college. So it worked. Matter of fact, yeah, right before that, when he asked me about the group, I went and saw my dad again, and we hadn't seen each other in years. I forgave him, he forgave me, and I went and showed him a VHS of us performing in a group. And my dad, I remember the first note of the song, he took it out, slapped the VHS tape against my chest, and he was like, man, you better go get into college and quit dreaming. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, you're gonna see that, because this thing is real. I can feel it in my soul. We're gonna come out, we're gonna blow up, we're gonna do well. And so fast forward, we come out, we do the group, things move real fast. We were ghetto fabulous in a month out in St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you to everybody that showed us love, performing all over the place. Next thing you know, fast forward, Tilo and I meet Vinny and KG from Naughty by Naughty by Nature at the Mall of America. Shout out to our big bros. And Tilo has a demo tape that he wants to give to him. We meet them at their show at First Ave the next day. Tilo brings the tape, gives it to the bro LP. LP never gave it to K. He just put it on their tour bus. KG listened to it, loved it, called the number on it, was Tilo's number. Boom. Next thing you know, we're in Jersey, get a record deal, meet Clive Davis, come out, put out Butter Love, then put out Too Close, turned into the Black Beatles. Fast forward, we're in 1998. We're in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, sitting in the back of my home, and my dad's sitting out there. He just came to visit. It's 10 a.m. I go out, Dad, good morning. Want some breakfast? Nah, I'm good. I was like, all right, cool. Come back lunch. Dad, want some lunch? Still sitting in the same spot, looking at the pond. Birds flying past. Nah, I'm straight. Now it's like 6:30, coming up on dinner. Now I'm starting to be concerned about him. I'm like, maybe we need to talk about something. So I go out, Dad, you straight? It's like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need anything. Then there was a long pause. Then he just had like these tears running down his face, and he looked at me, he was like, you did it, son. I'm so proud of you. You did it. You told me you were gonna do it, and you did it. In that moment, I was so thankful that I forgave my dad and let things go. I was so thankful that I didn't hold on to the typical grudges of the childhood separation of even when I was around him, because his way of parenting was the way he learned. You know, he was beaten to learn. And I came up with the school of thought that if you talk to me, I'll do it, I respect you enough. But he didn't know that. So we were learning each other. But when he said that, he was like, no matter what you say, no matter what you say you want to do, I'm going to believe you from now on. And I was like, wow, it was amazing to hear my dad say that he learned from me, which taught me to be able to learn from my kids. Again, another lesson in letting go. From the time I was, say, 21, I'm now 46 years of age in this body. And my dad and I got 25 years of good living together because I let go and I forgave him. And I decided not to let something that we both probably couldn't control stop us from living the rest of our lives as the best of our lives. And I'm so thankful that I did. Because this past January 6th, my dad passed away. And I remember speaking to him before he passed. And I remember being so proud of both of us for making the right decision to choose each other. One of the times when we first got together, my dad wasn't used to saying, I love you. And I used to say, Dad, I love you. And the first time he goes, yeah, all right. I go, yeah, all right. Like, I mean, I love you is not a question, but it'd be nice to hear it from you. He was like, yeah, you know I do. I was like, well, if you do, then you can tell me, Dad. It's not gonna make you less of a man to tell me that you love me. It's not gonna make you soft. It's not gonna make you a buster or whatever you're thinking. I love you don't make you weak, Dad. And I remember the first time he said it. And it was just so funny because I saw his heart just blow open. And that was the final lesson that I needed to learn dealing with my dad and letting go. When he passed January 6, 2022. January 6, 2022. Thank you, Dad, for everything. Thank you for giving me a chance to be who I am. Thank you for giving me a head start in a lot of ways and giving me a lot of attributes to be able to live this life at the highest level, to be able to live my best life ever. And even thank you for sometimes showing me what not to do, which I greatly appreciate, because I am grateful for all of it. Thank you for being amazing. As you can see right over my shoulder, there's a picture of my dad. And that is a constant reminder that no matter what, he's with me, I'm with him. I love him. His legacy lives on through me and my children, my siblings, their children, and our family, and everyone who knew him. So don't waste time. Don't waste time. It's not worth it. There's so many gifts in letting go. If there's somebody you need to forgive, even if it's you, if you need to forgive yourself, let go of the past. Let it go. Let it all go. You can't change it. Can't be fixed. But you still have plenty of time right now to make things better for yourself and others. So let go. Let go all that no longer serves your happiness. Let go all that's no longer in your favor. Let go all that no longer appreciates you. Let go all that no longer loves you. Just let it go. Let go wanting things that you feel is too big for you in the future. Let go worrying about things not being your way in the future. Let go complaining right now in the present. Let go. Just let go. Let go. Let go and trust. You've been good no matter what you've been through all this time. Why? Because you're still here. So let go trying to control everything. Let go needing to have the last word. Let go needing to always be right. Let go being a know-it-all. Let go having to always be ahead of someone else, or let go doubting yourself, doubting your life. Let go believing in yourself. Let go not believing in yourself, Let go everything that's a distraction to you learning how to love yourself in every moment, how to be happy in every moment, how to appreciate every moment. Because on the other side of letting go is receiving everything that you've ever dreamed of, everything you've ever wanted, everything you've ever needed. When you learn to let go and trust the process, trust yourself, trust what's happening. Believe that you're in the right place at the right time for everything, no matter what it is. Always know that what's meant for you will always get to you. So let go worrying about if it's not. Don't be afraid to let go that which is not good for you. Let go the good for the great. So many rewards on the other side of trusting. I guess that's about it for today. Whatever you do, remember, everything that's ever happened in your life happened for you to be who you are right now in this moment. There are no mistakes. Everything happens by design. You are who you are who you're meant to be. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you're becoming. Live your best life on purpose by expecting it, by doing the right thing. Surround yourself with people who add to you. Go where you're celebrated. That's the best way to live the best life ever. Go where you're celebrated. Go where you're loved. Go where you're appreciated. Don't look back, because I always tell you, you can't walk backwards into the future. Be confident in letting go that which is not meant for you anymore. Love yourself enough to choose what you know is highly beneficial for you. If you do nothing else, make sure you're loving you. Because truly, you're all you have. You're the only one with your state of awareness. You're the only one that knows exactly what you need. And you're the only one that knows how to give it to yourself. So let go the past, let go the present, let go the future, and just live in gratitude. Because everything you want and need will come to you when you let go. Wishing you the best life ever. Peace.